What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what the news is saying about Tesla in the markets, what earnings are coming out very soon, and how all of this could affect Tesla's share price moving forward. But before I break anything down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, looking at Tesla, we got a very nice break above that 190 resistance. After breaking this, Tesla is showing a lot more life and potential to push up even higher. But what's good about Tesla is we got this nice accumulation and a breakout above this channel. And we're starting to see a lot of buyers stepping in, not only for Tesla, but for the whole market. So I'm going to break down why on earth this is happening, what are some important levels to watch for, and what the news is doing when it comes to all of these moves. But first, let's talk about this. So, for the economic data for tomorrow, we have quite a bit of data in the daytime. First and foremost, about 30 minutes before the market opens, we have the new home price sales basically coming out. We have the new home price index as well, this report that's going to be coming out at 9 o'clock a.m. We'll be watching to see what this causes in terms of volatility during the pre market video I tend to upload. On top of this, don't forget that at 10 o'clock a.m., we have the JOLTS job openings. This is the most important piece of data coming out. We want this to be between 8.7 and 8.75 million. Then we also have the consumer confidence report coming out at 10 a.m. The JOLTS job quits at the same time. Those are going to be some important pieces of data. Then we also have some more minor pieces of data like the Dallas Fed Services Index, the Dallas Fed Services Revenues Index, also coming out at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or about an hour after the market opens. So, this is going to be the most important things to be watching for. But the most important piece of data, of course, is the JOLTS job opening. So, watch that tomorrow. Now, that's going to be for Tuesday, which is tomorrow, January 30th. Don't forget that that's all that's coming out, and this job report basically is going to be important for the Fed's policies, because right now we're anticipating that the Fed is just going to keep rates the same during the next FOMC meeting, as there's so much more that has to be unveiled by the time we get another decision in March. Now, that's important because for Wednesday, January 31st, which is going to be in 2 days from now, we have the FOMC meeting and we have the FOMC report that's all going to be coming out at the press conference with Jerome Powell's speech this coming Wednesday. It's going to be very important. What about for earnings? We have some big earnings coming out as well. So for today, these earnings are still coming out at the time I'm kind of like recording this video. We have Super Micro coming out, which is very minor. And then for Tuesday, we have Pfizer announcing its earnings. We have GM, UPS, and then JetBlue all announcing their earnings. This is going to be important before the market opens, especially GM. And then after market close tomorrow, we have Microsoft, AMD, Google, aka Alphabet, and then Starbucks all announcing their earnings. In my opinion, I think Microsoft is the most important one. Microsoft is the biggest one. We'll be watching that alongside Alphabet. We have big tech announcing their earnings. We'll be watching this very carefully. For Wednesday, we have Boeing, just a couple of others. I just want to mention that for Wednesday, the earnings are not as crazy because we have the FOMC meeting. And then for Thursday, things become even more serious because after the market closes, we have Apple, Amazon, and Meta all announcing their earnings. It's going to be a crazy day. So we'll be watching to see how all of that affects the markets. Just a couple of things worth noting. The fear and greed index is at extreme greed right now. The market is super greedy. Market is still seeing buyers stepping in. Sentiment is still strong. Market momentum is at extreme greed, not really shifting quite yet. And then on top of this, the put and call positioning is at extreme greed. The reason why the puts and call ratio is basically dropping is because of the fact that we're seeing puts being closed. We're seeing a lot of them being closed. People were shorting the market to hedge so hard, and now these shorts are getting squeezed. They're closing their positions, and the institutions are hedging. They're hedging by buying up a lot of shares. They want to buy up those shares because that's what they have to do to manage their risk. And that's what's helping to fuel this market pump. That's very important right now. Also, the VIX saw a little pump and dump today, and it's actually currently below the 50 daily moving average, which is a sign that the market is favoring the bulls and the VIX is looking weak. With Elon Musk, I just want to mention he's making some headlines today about how much control he wants over Tesla. This is making all the headlines, or at least some headlines. This is important because the media is still criticizing him for many of his views in the past. They're bringing up a lot of lawsuits from the past involving control over Tesla, and they're just continuing to criticize him in any way, shape, and form they can. Now, there are some things Musk has done wrong in the past. I will admit that, but at the same time, I mean, he had the right to say what he wants to say, and I personally think that him having more control would be okay as long as he doesn't have unlimited control, right? And that's something that he mentioned. He still wants to be able to be overrun just in case something else happens or goes wrong. So I think he had a very, excuse me, guys, I apologize. I think he had a very good point. I don't think that he deserves as much criticism as what he gets a lot of the time. And I think that these news articles like to just use this against him. But it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, we'll see what changes with Elon Musk's positioning. Now, I find this a little bit ridiculous. A lot of headlines are saying 2.2 million cars in America were recalled in a single month due to crash risks and etc. And they're saying that a large chunk of them are from like Tesla and Ford, saying 200,000 are because of Tesla. Again, don't forget, guys, Tesla fixed this with a software update, and this wasn't even a typical recall. The fact that the media is just painting Tesla like that is just kind of ridiculous, and they have to do what they have to do, but it's still making the headlines. Some good news for Tesla, and this is some part of the good news that came out involving some Chinese news, which I went over in my other video. Tesla had bullish news involving China as we have new models potentially being released over there, the Model 3 Performance. And then on top of this, Tesla plans to spend $10 billion this year to achieve its next growth phase, investing in AI, investing in new developments and such. So that's some good news for them. It also has two major growth waves coming. The first one was to ramp up the Model 3 and the Model Y. And now we're basically approaching the second wave, which is ramping up the next gen vehicles coming out in late 2025. So it takes a while. This is why Tesla dropped the way it did, but you could argue that Tesla was very oversold, and now it's time for the thing to bounce. 125 million in volume, above average. We're getting good buyers, good volume, and the short volume is actually a lot lower than where it was before, which is a good sign. The analysts have come out. Goldman Sachs gave Tesla a neutral rating. Citigroup did the same thing. JP Morgan has been saying Tesla's going to underperform. Edward Jones as well. But Deutsche Bank is saying to buy Tesla. So very, very interesting views. I would say Tesla's a good buy at these low levels. It could be affected by the market in the future, though, so I wouldn't necessarily rule out the possibility of more downside. But slowly dollar cost averaging is my best strategy, not financial advice, but it's just what I typically do. So if I see dips on Tesla, I just buy them up anyways. And you can see where a lot of the volatility came in at that 186 area. Once we broke that, we got a big push. This is the level we called out in the morning. And it's once again looking pretty good for Tesla. The price price ratio is bouncing because Tesla's starting to outperform the market. Tesla's playing a game of catch up with the QQQ and SPY, and it's looking a lot better than before. For Tuesdays, historically, Tesla's green about 52% of the time. Watch for volatility around 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and also 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And historically, Januaries tend to be strong months. Instead, it was kind of the opposite. We actually had a strong December and a weaker January so far. But Tesla is showing some signs of recovery, so hopefully it tries to recover towards the end of January. So we'll see how it goes. Now let's break down the charts. How are the charts looking in my honest opinion? And here's my answer. So Tesla has a very nice accumulation right over here. We had this channel, and Tesla actually got a very nice breakout. And upon getting this breakout, we're approaching our next resistance zone, which I think Tesla is going to meet. Now, because Tesla got this breakout, this had to do with some very bullish news involving China. The China Model 3 performance is coming out. Hype about the Cybertruck, not to mention Tesla saying it's going to be investing billions into its growth. That's once again some good news. And we actually saw buyers trying to defend Tesla and squeezing some shorts. If we're bearish on Tesla, just hypothetically, we have 190 as a key support. If we lose that, you're going to be watching this basically this trend line right over here at this 188 zone. If we lose that, 186 is coming next, followed by 184. What do I think Tesla will do? However, I don't think it's going to be coming down much. I think it's going to maybe grab some liquidity down here and start pushing up higher. I think there's more upside potential. If we continue to break out, we have a little resistance at 192.5, but it's very minor. Basically, in this 195 zone, we have the next level of resistance, which is where we happen to have an imbalance. If Tesla breaks that, 197.5 is coming, followed by 200 to the upside. So we have a nice accumulation, nice looking white coffee style accumulation. Going to be looking for a little drop. They might grab a little liquidity right here in the lower 190s, and then a nice push to the upside up to 195 very soon. We might see some more buyers stepping in to squeeze those shorts. I think Tesla's showing some life, and it's going to continue on this path, in my opinion. I also want to mention that when it comes to Tesla, Tesla also has this. We have a massive gap above. I'm not saying we have to fill the gap all the way, but for now, let's just try to get to 200 again. I think there's a good chance buyers are going to try to defend Tesla. The daily is looking bullish, so we're going to be looking for a continuation, excuse me, towards 195. For SPY, the daily looks bullish. It looks very bullish. We actually got a nice breakout. We also broke above this wedge, so got a very, very nice looking ascending triangle breakout slash bullish wedge breakout. And we approach resistance at 491.5. If we break out of this, watch 492.5, and eventually we're going to be approaching this resistance very close to this 494 area for a nice push to the upside. For support, watch 490. If we lose that, there's 489 coming, followed by lower levels at 488. And then we also have this yellow trend line to watch for. But the setup is looking bullish. The daily looks bullish. The odds do favor this trying to push up nicely. We'll be watching the JOLTS job openings to see how this affects this. But this is favoring the bulls and a nice move to at least 492.5 very, very soon. On the QQQ, in my opinion, if we turn bearish, hypothetically, right, are going to be watching support at 427, and also if we lose that, we have the breakout area at 426.1, followed by 425 below that. If we're bullish, you want to break 429 to 430. Once we break 430, 432 is going to be coming next. What do I think I favor? I favor this thing testing 430 very soon. Got a nice breakout. Might come down to grab liquidity before it pushes higher towards 430. So I think there's a good chance the QQQ has even more to go. On Nvda, looks very bullish. We actually broke the all-time highs. Watch support at 632-ish, then 628 right here, which is right at the breakout area. And then below that, we have basically 628 and 625, followed by 620 below that. And then for resistance, you're going to be watching 636.5, 640, and 642 above that. In my opinion, Nvidia might come down in the morning, grab liquidity at 628 or so, then start pushing higher. We could get very close to 640 after that. There's no sign that Nvidia is down or done just yet. We're actually seeing the bulls defending it very well. For Aapl, we have resistance at 192 and 192.5 and 193.5. We have support at 190.5. If we lose that, there's 189.5. In my opinion, it might come down a bit in attempts to push back up. I think that it tried to fill this imbalance. Now it's showing life to hit 192. So I favor that a little bit more when it comes to the way Aapl is moving. Besides that, guys, I'm just going to go over a couple more tickers for fun. Rivian has broken 16, so we're going to be looking for a push towards this imbalance. 16.4, I'm sorry, not 16.4, 16.86, then eventually 17.44 are going to be our levels. This looks a bullish overall. It might try to push a little bit higher. For SoFi, we're looking bullish, going to be looking for a push towards $10. For the IWM, we look bullish, going to be looking for 200, 202, and 205. This looks bullish as we're about to get a bullish cross in the PPO. The IWM Russell 2000 favors the bulls a bit more. Microsoft is favoring the bulls, going to be looking for a break above 410 to push up towards 412 and 415. But don't turn way too bullish overnight on Microsoft because it depends on earnings, right? It could still explode because of earnings to way new all time highs, or it could actually crash. It's going to depend on earnings, so we'll have to see how this goes. Don't forget about that for tomorrow. But overall, the chart still looks bullish. For AMD, we're a little bit sideways here. Going to be looking for this thing to back test and grab liquidity at 175, then bounce and possibly make its way back up to 180 if the market holds up, especially if Nvidia helps it. So there's still potential for this. SPX looks bullish. I'm going to be looking for 49.50 very, very soon. It still looks very, very strong. The VIX on the daily looks very weak. It pumped and dumped. Going to be looking for a dump towards 13.28. I'm saying this not just because of the current chart, but also because of the fact that it's below the 50 EMA and the 50 daily moving average. The SQQQ looks kind of weak as well, a little bit bearish looking. 11.6 is to be expected. The dollar is very indecisive, so we're still waiting for that. For Coinbase, we look kind of bullish, trying to push it for 135. If we break this, 141 to 142 is coming next. I would say Coinbase is favoring the bulls a bit more. We're nearing a bullish cross in the PPO. Might come down a little bit, might back test like 130 before it tries to continue higher. So watch that very carefully. Google is looking a bit more bullish. It could get very close to about 157, but then we also have earnings coming out. So we'll see if this thing continues higher towards the 160s or higher, or if it ends up getting a rug pull. So watch that very carefully. For Amazon, this looks bullish, still trying to break out. If it keeps going, we have 162.5 plus coming and higher levels like that. So this is favoring the bulls. For Meta, this is looking bullish, going to be looking for a push for 404 and eventually 405 plus. So it could push a little bit higher, but then we're going to be watching resistance very, very carefully. In my opinion, this definitely has potential to push higher, but we'll have to wait and see how it ends up holding up. So watch and see if we could hold this resistance at 402. If we break it, 404 could be next. But then the resistance is getting tighter on it. It's becoming a lot more overbought. So be a little bit careful if Meta might push a little bit more than reject. So we'll have to see how it goes from there. With that being said, thank you all so much for listening. It's been a pleasure making this video and talking to you guys. I'm going to continue to do this. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning for the next update video. And just know that Tesla has this big gap to fill above, and it's starting to look like it's favoring the bulls a lot more. So with that being said, have a great day, remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and peace out.